This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
I'd like to call the April 10, 2025 regular meeting of the North Haven Board of Education to order at 6:30 p.m. May I have a motion to approve the March 20, 2025 Board of Education regular meeting minutes?
Make a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Oh, Joe, how are you? Just the one student rep today?
Yeah.
Joe, I am trying so hard to have a mullet like you. I am. And I'm not. I'm struggling.
You'll get
Struggling. I'm impressed. Joe, please.
Starting off, we reached the end of the third marking period. The third marking period ended on April 1st, and students are now in the fourth and final marking period of the school year. Also, the band and chorus field trip / competition left this morning to attend the Festival of Music in Washington, D.C. The students are very excited about this musical and cultural experience. The administration met with them this morning to talk about safety, expectations, and wish them well. They return Sunday evening. And lastly, the Art Department of North Haven High School is inviting you to attend the Art Beat K-12 exhibition on May 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. on the first floor of NHHS.
Wow. Does anybody remember Joe's first time here? My name is Joe. Joe, you're doing such a great job. You're projecting your voice, you're getting through your material, you're comfortable with what you're doing. Great job, man. Great job.
I appreciate it.
Public comment. We're going to have public comment now. Let's open up for anybody who'd like to speak to anything outside today's agenda. Does anybody have anything you'd like to bring up? We're all talked out from Monday. All right. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. The retirement of Antoinette Idarola, ILS paraeducator at North Haven High School, and the resignation of Sarah Darlene Breen, K1ID teacher at Ridge Road. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, including all resignations and retirements?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'd like to thank all for their time and effort. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. It's moved that the contract of employment of the following list of names will not be renewed for the following year due to budgetary reason. Upon its expiration at the end of the 2025-26 school year, and that the superintendent of schools is directed to advise such persons in writing of this action. Michelle DeLucia, and then I'm going to ask for a second after all this. Michelle DeLucia, Stephanie DeLucia, Grace Donovan, Megan Doyle, Taylor Emerson, Dominic Esposito, Michael Ferret, Lauren Gothier, Jocelyn Gladwin, Ricky Gold, Melissa Greco, Avery Hill, Monica Germain, Taylor Johns, Anam Khan, Kate Kiley, Andrew Leducco, Haley Langevin, Christine Lodano, Madeline McKenna, Rachel Mayer, Susan Mitchell, Kayla Montalvo, Katie Moore, Margaret Morazzini, Nicole Park, Justin Palazza, Christina Potts, Marissa Racino, Mengwin Ren, Michelle Romanelli, Jessica Romaniello, Carly Ross, Aaron Salzano, Annalise Schuster, Michael Severino, Athena Sen, Hannah Smith, Samantha Stowe, Cheryl Studley, Maggie Sundquist, Marilyn Teresic, Alicia Theed, Gabriel Thompson, Maria Tui, Amber Waleski, Gina Zamataro, Alexis Zatomi, and Andrea Zullo. Thank you. Melina Bartolomeo, Dana Bennett, James Boddington, Marissa Centone, Jeanne Lynn Chafalo, Emily Clark, Jessica Commando, Jennifer Crandall, Lauren Saja, Elizabeth Daniel, Brittany DeFreitas. Just make sure those are all. Sixty. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, can I?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So, obviously, this is the worst vote I've ever had to take. And I just wanna double down for our teachers to let them know that, like, you are valued here. From my point of view, this is a procedural vote that the state of Connecticut requires in order for us to continue doing business. This is not happy, and I just wanna call out Ms. Wren and Mr. Boddington and everybody else on that list who has like made a difference in my kids' lives. You matter, and I'm just doubling down that like teachers will be the last thing that I cut.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So, this is based on what we talked about at the last meeting about the letters that had to go out.
Yes.
So now we're approving the people that the letters went out to?
Well, this starts from the non-tenured. That's what we talked about last time. All the non-tenured get notified. And if the budget passes, this becomes a moot list. If the budget does not passes, then any one up to all of these teachers are subject. Now, because the Board of Education determines where the money is cut by ourselves and not through the Board of Finance, it is for us to decide. If we decide that the money comes elsewhere other than teachers, then that's where it will come, and the teachers will stay. That's why this is such a difficult decision and a miserable place for any of us to be. And I did not enjoy reading those names, believe me. So, where we're at right now is that by statute, they have to be notified in case. And that's really where we're at. And in case this budget does not pass, one or all are subject. It's up to us to decide where that money's coming from if we have to make another round of cuts. If we-
More stupid questions, sorry.
Sure, no stupid question.
So, by taking this vote, it doesn't mean that those teachers are already cut.
That is correct. This means that their notification that they are subject to not, they're being notified that they're not coming back pending final budgetary decisions. So we're saying that they're not coming back, but when that budget passes, no one has to leave. It's one of those, it's one of those statutory steps that you have to take to ensure that you can pass a budget at some point, which is the miserable part, because say it doesn't pass the first time, you have to cut a certain amount of money.
Sure.
And then it doesn't pass again, and you have to go to a second or third referendum. The option to lose, they have to have been notified that they're possibility of them losing their jobs. So right now, yes, but it's a weird way of saying it, because if the budget passes, then no one loses.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Teachers are the only union bargaining group that hasn't
tenure law act to it.
Right.
The other bargaining groups do not.
Do not.
So just because we are voting on teachers this evening does not mean any cuts are going to be to teachers. It would be, I'm assuming the board would be equitable across the board. And as we've said before, teachers would be the last to go.
I think we all stand on that teachers are the absolute last to go, and if the budget referendum does not pass and we need to readdress some issues, that teachers will be the absolute last place we look to make any cuts. I think we can all agree on that.
Sorry. So, because I think, right, this stinks, you said it stinks, and, I mean, we know some of those names.
Yeah.
Some of one of my kids' teachers, who I love to death. But, so just because, so we voted on this kind of already, but now we're voting on who it actually is, but that doesn't mean that even if the budget doesn't pass, which we hope it does, but even if it doesn't pass, doesn't mean that those teachers it's gonna
That's
depend
correct.
on what the percentage is or how much it is. It doesn't necessarily mean that just because we have to vote on it,
That's
I just
100%.
wanna, sorry. I just
100% correct.
need to clarify for
No,
me.
please, ask the question, because this is lousy, and I wanna make sure everybody understands what they're
Yeah.
voting for.
The other downside of it is, once they get the notification, there are a number of them who may apply for other positions, and we're still in a position where we're short teachers, even if the
Absolutely.
budget passes.
Absolutely,
And they had to be identified already? Like by law?
by statute.
By
By
law,
May
May
1st.
May 1st.
May 1st is tenure law.
The only thing I can say is that there are almost, I can't speak for other towns, but there are many bordering towns that are in this exact same situation, doing the exact same thing at their Board of Ed meeting this month. Doesn't make it any better for us, but I'm just telling you,
Oh, it sounds like we
The
have
factual.
to, like it has to
Yeah,
be
it
done.
has
It's
to be
really
done.
not.
it's really not optional, it has to be done.
So I can tell you, Eleni, that in my district, it happens every year. And you receive the letters by May 1st, and then when the budget officially passes, you get a second letter that says you do have your position, so that they rescind the first letter, and then everyone keeps their position. And if the budget doesn't pass and it goes through all these cuts, then they go through their RIF process through the union contract, which would be a whole bunch of, you know, what positions are open, what's available, who has most seniority, and who has certification to fill those positions.
Right. I believe the last time we had to do this was 11, 10, 11?
Yeah,
So it's been
I've never.
14, 15 years since North Haven has had to
Yeah.
even address this issue. Unfortunately, this is one of them, but that's where we're at. Does anybody else have any other questions about it?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to echo what Amanda said, and me personally, as a teacher who's been through this process multiple times in districts, I know how awful it is. I personally speak to many of those names on that list regarding my children, and I love all of them, and I know that we're all sitting here feeling the same way about this, and, you know, very hopeful that this is just procedural and that, you know, things will land where not one single teacher will be leaving our district.
Completely agreed. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. May I have a motion to approve the North Haven Public Schools district calendar for the 25-26 school year?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Go ahead, Amanda.
I think you have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
My head's down, I'm sorry.
You're okay. I know. It's a rough night. Can I just ask about the calendar that's in here now? Can we talk a little bit about the rationale for starting when we're starting?
Yep. Can I?
Absolutely.
Sure. So, there is a calendar committee that was formed 3 years ago, and we toyed around with a lot of different, not toyed, but discussed a lot of different ideas, adding holidays, taking out holidays, trying to offset the end of the year, things of that nature. So we looked at the then current start date, and then pushing the week up to Monday, having the 2 half-days, kind of giving that consistency throughout the first week. And it actually, for the end of the school year, it moved us up to a point where even if we had snow days, and I remember 2 years ago, the first year we did this, we actually had a lot of days off during the year that we weren't expecting outside of snow days. It still pushed us into the end of the second week of June, so we try to avoid getting into the kind of end of June because of air conditioning. We all had a very, we all discussed that then, so that was one of the reasons that we pushed it up and started on Monday versus the Wednesday.
So part of it is the temperature in June.
Mhm.
I imagine that part of it is also the fact that our fiscal year ends at the end of the month of June and we have to get 180 days in, or,
State statute, we cannot go by June 30th.
Right.
yeah. So the goal is to end before the end of the second week in June, is that, do I understand that kind of?
No, the goal is to not push into the third and fourth weeks of June, because there was one year, I can't do math that fast in my head, but when we first came into district, where we were in school till June 24th. Because of the
Remember
amount of
that.
snow days, and it was hot, and for the last 2 weeks of school, we were half-daying. And I remember trying to bring popsicles and watermelon and all this other stuff for the kids so that they could stay cool. Because we can't really predict how many snow days we were gonna get. And I know it's early, and I've had some folks, but I think it's very important to note that that Labor Day is very early, last year and this year. Next year, Labor Day is not till September 7th. So right now, Labor Day is August 31st, right? So because Labor Day falls, we're kind of at the mercy of when Labor Day falls for when our school year starts. So even next year, when Labor Day is on September 7th, we won't be starting till September 1st, which is a much different start date. But it's all because of Labor Day. So we can't control what we can't control, sort of thing.
And just so folks know and understand, like, air conditioning is not on the table to be able to go later into June because of budget constraints. So just saying that out loud so that folks know and understand that.
Sure, and we talked about that when we first decided to form the calendar committee. We talked a lot about the air conditioning, and then we all looked at weather, and we looked at weather plots and how the weather kind of plays out and all these different things when we made that decision.
Thanks, Eleni.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask how frequently we have a calendar committee to analyze and look at and take into consideration? Is it something that just happened once? Is it something that?
So is it fine for me to
Yes,
talk?
yeah, you're running.
Okay, so, we decided to form the calendar committee because we had, some questions come through. We thought it was time to review kind of, what we had on the calendar, the start date, just based on various information we had. So 3 years ago, we formed that calendar committee. This is my 6th year on the board, and that's the first time I think we had a calendar committee, so we felt that it was necessary to revisit it. And this is my own personal opinion, and I'm not talking on behalf of anybody, it's just my own opinion. I do think we need to let something ride a little bit before we just continuously look at it and change it and kind of see how it goes. I think, again, that's not just my decision, right? I think, as questions would come in, we would look at those questions, we would try to address those questions. And I know it seems like we start early, but a lot of it has to do with Labor Day and kind of how Labor Day is falling. So this will be the 3rd year we're starting on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So we did it last year, we did it this year, and then you'll see next year it'll be, we won't be starting till September 1st. So Labor Day is really early this year, and it was really early last year.
One more question
Sure.
about the committee, and I'm sorry because I wasn't here when that
Sure.
happened, but when they had the committee, did the committee reach out and do any sort of surveys of teachers or parents to kind of get input from there as well?
So we did discuss it. I think we had 4 or 5 meetings, and I'm looking at Mr. Stirk because he was there with us. We did talk about possibly doing surveys about holidays and that nature, but it's not something that, that some of that information we can't really ask for. So we did not do the surveys, but we did speak with the union, I believe. We made sure that whatever changes we made were okay on that part.
Pulled calendars from other districts.
We did pull calendars from other districts. We pulled a lot of calendars from other districts. And the one thing I think that we did a lot of work on during the calendar committee that I feel like it kind of gets washed out in some of this, is we made a whole separate calendar of special observance days, because that was one of our main goals, was to make sure that kind of all ethnicities and cultures were recognized through the district, because we do have we have a very nice group of, different cultures. So, we wanted to make sure that there was some way, so I'll just use myself as an example, like Orthodox Easter, it's the same time this year, which is great, but it doesn't usually fall the same as Catholic Easter or, Catholic Easter. So, there's Good Friday, for instance, like our Good Friday very often is different than everyone else's Good Friday. So, my kids would be like, oh, well, we have to miss school, but we shouldn't miss school. And we'd be like, yeah, well, we gotta miss school. Taking a lot of those things into consideration, we decided that having this special observance day, and it comes out with the calendar usually, the district avoids any major events on those days. Students can excuse themselves with no penalty. Major tests, like all those things are avoided during any of those special observance days for everybody, across the district. The only thing we couldn't control for that is the sports schedule, because that doesn't come out from us, it comes out from CIAC. But things like, I know there's often, sometimes when our Easter would be later, there'd be some of our family members who would have to pick between like prom and Good Friday. Like, that's a hard decision to make. So that's why, we totally understood that. I think we talked about that more so even than, we talked about days off and pulling these days off out or leaving them. We talked about a lot of those things. But I did want to make sure that, we recognize that there are those special observance days there. And I think collectively we worked with, I don't remember who it was at the high school, to make sure that it was a comprehensive list that represented everyone across the district.
With Mr. Lawrence.
With Mr. Lawrence, right. And that list gets updated every year.
The dates.
The dates, right, because some of the dates shift. The dates aren't always the same, so we definitely make sure that we're looking at that and updating it and making sure that, we're trying to represent everybody.
Awesome. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Reports from the standing committees, ACES.
Okay. We had a meeting this afternoon. The director of ACES, Tim Dehaney, is in Asia at an international conference considering educational alternatives, and he's going to give us a report at the next meeting. We discussed ECA and the fact that the building they're in now, which is the old Michigan Israel Synagogue, is very cramped, and they're buying property and looking to renovate property to expand the programs that they have. And they met with the town, and their problem is they're in a historic district for several of their buildings. So they're looking on how to work around that problem. They're reorganizing their administrative roles. We'll get that at the next workshop. They're working on their special ed budget, which is having a number of funding issues at this point, as we are. They have an alternative ed program which works with incarcerated students, and that program is going to move back to New Haven as of September. They went over their various school budgets, and the budgets are falling in line with what we put forward in our budget at about 6.5% to 7%. They discussed solar panels and the fact that Mill Road, Leader Hill, and Village Schools have solar panels, and they're selling the excess electricity back for profit. So that's working out for them. And they're also, to help with their programs, they're applying for a number of grants to help build, to help their programs. And they're expecting Bassett Street School to be open in September.
Do you have any questions for Marty? Okay, moving on to curriculum, instruction, and planning.
We did not meet this month.
Finance and operations?
We met tonight. The budget freeze remains in place. So I want to just take a moment to say thank you to our kids, our teachers, and our staff for hanging in there. Resilience points for everybody. We are monitoring closely the special education tuition line, the electricity line, as well as professional and technical services. That's no surprise. We've been monitoring those closely for a while now. A bit of good news is that we got the first excess cost payment from the state. Just so folks know, that actually gets fed back into two different lines. 77.36% goes to special education tuition, and 22.64% goes to special education transportation. So both of those lines look better this month, but we're still significantly over on them. And we are actually trending to fall below the lowest actuarially recommended reserve balance for our medical and dental reserves before the end of the year. We've withdrawn a net amount of over $1 million so far this year from our reserves, and so just shout out to Joe for encouraging us to save for a rainy day because it's raining, and thank goodness we have them right now. I want to just remind everybody to vote on May 20th in the budget referendum. Everybody goes to vote at the rec center that day between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. It's just like when you vote for president, but everybody votes at the rec center. So mark your calendars for Art Beat May 1st and the budget referendum May 20th. Our next meeting will be May 15th.
Any questions from anybody? Okay. North Haven Education Foundation?
Unfortunately, I was unable to attend this one, so yeah.
Okay. Any policy? Second read. Policy 5131.911, Connecticut School Climate Policy for Students. Policy 5145.51, policy regarding Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, prohibition of sex discrimination and sexual harassment students. Staff Communications, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you. Just a little update regarding the elementary school audit. Christian, myself, Phil, Diana, and Jen Kay met with the MP planning team this morning to discuss a few different things. They actually updated some of their numbers from last meeting because Jen met with one of their folks and worked in IT into their planning. So it did increase the overall cost of updating the buildings. We'll get more details, but it did go up about $8 million. I think it was at 134 to update the 4, went up to 142, just with the addition of the IT. More details to come on that.
That's for all 4 elementary schools? Sorry.
All
42.
142 million.
And just so they know, that's to bring them up to par
Yes.
over a 10-year period.
Over it.
So this is not something that's gonna happen in 2 years. It's a 10-year period, everything is staged, and by the time you're done, you're too late.
And that's with IT?
That's with IT considerations.
Yeah, 142, okay.
We were also presented initial planning scenarios for the elementary schools. So the next meeting, Ron and Mr. Frieda will be attending because we're at that point where we need town input as well as board input. So we'll have more information to share in the May meeting. We're just going little by little here, which I think is helpful because Christian and I are just getting a basic handle on these. Are a lot of technical numbers and big numbers. So MP planning will be here at some point to meet with the board. I don't know, I don't think it'll be this school year, probably the start of next school year. Last day of school. We're scheduled for June 10th, Tuesday, June 10th. This accounts for one snow day, I believe, on February 6th. So that's, we were supposed to end on June 9th, we're now on June 10th. And the North Haven High School senior graduation will be scheduled for Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Very exciting.
Can you repeat that?
Thursday, June 5th.
Thank you.
And being it's the end of the school year is on a Tuesday, it just presents kind of an interesting challenge. We never host graduations on a Friday. A Monday graduation can present some challenges since you do have to set up the Friday before, and there are chairs and stages on the field, so that's something for 2 days that could present a challenge. So really it is a Tuesday that's the best day. So, and in honor of Melinda's absence tonight, I do have a bookworms update. So as you know, we've implemented the bookworms program this year across all of our elementary schools to comply with that Science of Reading legislation. Full implementation of the programs in kindergarten and grade 3 has occurred since the start of the school year, and we actually piloted 1 unit in grades 4 and grades 5. Professional learning has been embedded for the teachers since last spring. Grade level meetings, professional development, and coaching is ongoing. Now, as there is with any new program, we've had a lot to navigate the learning of this program and to acclimate to new materials. So we've made adjustments to the program to ensure they fit within our language arts instructional block, as well as meet the needs of our students and the community. Caitlin Ortiz is our ELA coordinator, and she's really done some intensive work at all the 4 buildings, along with our language arts coaches. And this includes reading and working through all the program materials. I actually have a list here of each person and what book they've read, and some notes about it. And the teachers have access to all of that as well. And upon working through these materials, we've shifted some of the books to make them more developmentally appropriate, depending on grades. And we've also made some decisions on whether to make the books read aloud books if they're, the content might be a little developmentally, not inappropriate, but just developmentally a little above where the students are, so the teachers have control of the reading and they can choose what to omit, what to include. District has guiding documents that have been created, so that's helpful to the teachers. And teachers are asked to complete a survey at the end of each module to provide essential insight as to how the lessons are going and suggest possible improvements for the future. And Caitlin is part of a kind of a literacy collaborative with other towns, Milford, Trumbull, Monroe, and Derby, and they share problems of practice, materials, and discuss instructional designs. So that's our bookworms update.
Okay, does anybody have any questions
Just
for Patrick?
one, the surveys, as they come back, where do they go? Do they go to Caitlin, or?
I assume they go to Caitlin and Melinda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Moving on to the Director of Student Services report.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Good evening, everyone, excuse me. It's been a long week,
Sure
we all
has.
know.
Sure has.
Typically, I highlight a lot of the younger grades in all of our programs. Tonight, I'd actually like to take a few moments to update us on the North Haven Transition Program that we're very fortunate to have. We have a very dedicated group of staff members who lead our students each day, job coaches, teacher, paraeducators. The program is humbly located at the North Haven Park and Rec right now. This space provides our students with opportunities to access town resources such as the gym, the pool, and it's a central location for transportation, along with a close walk to St. John's Church where students access the kitchen to focus on life skills, and they do some wonderful cooking. They actually
Thanksgiving,
invited
yeah.
us to Thanksgiving this past Thanksgiving, and it was wonderful.
That's really cool.
Put on a great spread, and students really love it, and they are just so happy to be able to see their good work, especially sharing it with
Yeah, they're so excited.
leaders. I know, it's really nice. We're very thankful for this partnership with the Park and Rec, obviously, and also St. John's Church for this space and opportunity for our students. With a focus on transition, students will take part in various activities focused on planning for the future, especially the world of work. For example, all students participate in work job sites and workforce hands-on learning. Students will hold a job within the community and learn essential life skills that will help bridge them from transition to post-high school opportunities. Students are connected with a job coach who will lead, direct, and provide feedback throughout that day and at the work sites. We are very thankful to our community partners in making this hands-on learning experience possible. A big thank you to our local businesses, CVS on Washington Ave, Chartwell's, Gearing Metal, out of Hamden, Banton Construction, Surge Fitness, Walgreens on Washington, North Haven Park and Rec. We have some students that come up here and work in my office, which is wonderful, and St. John's Church. Without these wonderful partnerships, these learning experiences would not be available to our students, so thank you very much. We also thank the community for their continued support and lifting up our students in a very unique manner, and of course the support of the board, so thank you. And lastly, our North Haven Transition Partner graduation will be held on May 30th.
Excellent.
And that is all I have for this evening.
Does anybody have anything for Anthony?
Mind if I just jump in really quick?
Please.
I know it's a small thing, but having the van that the board approved a few
Yes.
years back, can we just share a little bit of the benefits of that?
Sure, absolutely. So we have one of the, I don't know what type of van it is, but it's super useful because we actually have one of the job coaches that currently works for M&J, and she's able to drive the van, and it allows more access to different sites. So not all students have to go at once, so many times they will take a little trip and be able to break the students in half so that they can come and go. And we are just very thankful for that access because it does make it much more equitable for our students. And it also allows different opportunities. So they have, for example, tomorrow they're doing a diner dash and they pick one of the diners in town and they're able to do that without having to call, for a bus, and it just makes it much more convenient and allows the local piece of it to stay in touch. So, thank you.
Excellent. Do you have any questions on that? Okay, we'll move to our Chief Operating Officer's report.
Good evening, everyone. Amanda, thank you for your report this evening. You really kind of highlighted a lot of the things I was going to share. As Amanda mentioned, we are currently still in a budget freeze, and we will maintain that through the end of the year this year. A couple lines that I do want to point out, and I apologize for the typo. It's 112R, not 112Q in my report. My apologies, but that is for reimbursable wages. Just a reminder that we keep this line in our operating. This is the line where we pay our nursery school staff. This is the program not at Green Acres, but at high school. And so parents do pay tuition, the check comes, and then we reimburse that line. So while it is at a roughly negative 40,000 right now, after submitting my report to all of you, we got our most recent check from them for $27,084.44, which gets booked against that line, reducing that negative. And we will receive another tuition check from them by the end of the year as well. As mentioned, professional technical services, electricity, as well as special education, transportation, and tuition are lines that we are watching carefully. I did share last month that we expected the electricity and professional technical services to start running over this month, which they did. What I am happy to share with in regards to helping to alleviate some of the burden of our out-of-district costs is we did receive the first installment of our excess cost grant funding in the amount of $674,438. Which was applied to the tuition and special education transportation line. We are expecting the second installment in the amount of $228,065 this May. And what's unique to this year is the state's action to help support excess costs a little bit more this year. I know I've spoken about it before, and so we will actually be seeing a third installment anticipated to be at $199,517, which is expected in June. All of these dollars will be applied to that special education transportation and tuition line to help bring those overages down. As always, in my report is the budget transfer report for the month of March. Any items highlighted in yellow are those that cross object codes and are respectfully submitted for the Board of Education's approval this evening. Our reserve accounts, we are thankful, Joe, this is kind of your area that, speaking out, but they are starting to run low. A reminder that the workman's compensation is a cash balance. It does not account for incurred but not realized. Within our medical and dental reserve, we do account for that, but that is simply the cash balance at this time. One of the fun things that we get to do this time of year is the required healthy food certification statute, or the HFC statute. Requires that each local board of education or governing authority for public schools participating in the National School Lunch Program, which we do participate, each year must certify whether all food items sold to students separately from reimbursable meals will or will not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards. To be eligible for the HFC during next school year, which is July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, the Board of Education must vote and adopt the HFC and then formally approve the Board of Meeting notes of when such vote is taken no later than July 1st. So in other words, we've got a vote tonight, we approve the minutes, and then I have to submit the minutes to the state before July 1st. It is respectfully requested that the North Haven Board of Education votes this evening on whether to participate in the healthy food certification for the 25-26 school year. Additionally, should the board vote yes to participate in the healthy food option for the next year, it is also respectfully asked that the board also vote to approve the food and beverage exemptions for 25-26. We'll do that probably after my talk here. Just a reminder that we've been in an RFP process for our food service and management contract. All bids need to be into us by 11 a.m. tomorrow, and we will take a look at those and bring our preferred vendor to you at the May meeting. Transportation, North Haven Public Schools has now officially signed their contract with DATCO Transportation. This contract will go into effect starting on July 1st, 2025 with the start of the district's ESY program. At this time, the district has already been actively collaborating with DATCO once that contract was signed to evaluate the routing for the summer ESY program, as well as begin preliminary routing information for the start of the 25-26 school year. So we continue to really have great relationships with the incoming vendor. They're very responsive to our requests. They're here on site working with us. We are seeing a very steady stream of drivers coming in, so we continue to be very optimistic with the way things are headed with our new transportation vendor. Finally, in our grants report, just two items of note, or one item of note. The North Haven Education Fund has once again been very generous to us and awarded a grant of $621 to the North Haven High School Music Department to be used for necessary instrument purchases. These funds will be utilized for this purpose under the direction of Miss Susan Oakley. As always, we are grateful for the North Haven Education Foundation's continued support of our schools and student programming. And then we do have one donation this evening for the board's approval. A donation of $3,433 from fund raised for the North Haven Public Schools RISE program in memory of the late Dr. Robert D. Cronin.
Yeah, last week or 2 weeks ago, Melinda and I met with Dr. Cronin's family. They were so very touched by the funds raised and where they're going to be supporting the RISE program, because those of us who knew Dr. Cronin, kids were everything to him, and just to have anything be donated in his name, especially this amount of money to a program that was very near and dear to him, was very touching to his family, and we're eternally grateful. So I just wanted to share that with the board tonight.
May I have a motion to approve the healthy food option for the 25-26 school year as stated? Pursue.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
I was gonna make a motion. I didn't know you went on.
This is all part of what he was talking about, the food and the beverage, and then we'll get to questions for him and make a motion. That's okay. At least you're listening, that's good.
Motion.
2/10 of a second and you're dead.
Pursuant to CGS Section 10-215F, the North Haven Board of Education certified that all food items offered for sale to students in schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut Nutrition Standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut Nutrition Standards during the period of July 1st, 25 through June 30th, 26. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups. Can I get a second?
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. May I have a motion to approve the beverage exemptions for the 25-26 school year as stated? North Haven Board of Education will allow the sale of students to the students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in section 10-221Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided that the following conditions are met. The sale is in connection with the event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. The sale is at a location of the event, and the food items are not sold from a vending machine or a school store. The event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food sales. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. May I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report, including the recommended transfers?
I'll make a motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. May I have a motion to approve a donation of $3,433 from funds raised for the RISE program in memory of Dr. Robert D. Cronin?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you all. We will now take public comment. These public comments are reserved for any agenda item. Does anybody have anything? Go on.
So, Tim Gabriel, 18 Renee Lane, just want to sort of acknowledge the harrowing list that Ron spoke of earlier in the day, today. It's really like quite something to just hear all those names in a row, just because, you know, there's every single one of those people is like a story, is multiple classrooms, is, you know, myriad kids being affected and impacted in some way. You know, the fact that what teachers have gone through since COVID has been overwhelming. You guys talk about it all the time. And some of those issues have gotten better, some of them have escalated, but it's just the fact that we're adding an additional stressor at this point, it sucks a lot. I don't think there's any like sort of getting over that. You sort of add to that, you know, all the, what can only really be described as a war on public education that's happening right now in terms of like trying to take away the Department of Education, reducing federal funding, making threats to special education through Texas versus Becerra, and making threats about Title I funding. You know, there's uncertainty about what people are going to be able to teach in their classrooms, what kind of courses we're going to be even allowed to have. This is all like a lot to put on educators. So the fact that we're in this position, and I know that you guys have done such a good job like trying to make a responsible budget for the town to approve, and it's just, you know, it sucks. We're asking people to vote for a budget that they're not sure that they can afford, and we just don't have a lot of good options for that. So I'm really urging everybody to go out and vote in favor of the budget, because it is clearly the least bad option that is out there. And I think we just want to think about all that we have been putting on the school system in recent years and just not adding to that, because you know, every single one of those people makes such a difference in our community. They're people that really have such a high impact on our lives. And I think that, you know, it's really important that everybody goes out and votes, because if it's a small turnout and it doesn't pass by such a small number, I think that's just only gonna sort of add to the decreased morale, to the fact that, you know, we haven't you know, shown that support in a strong fashion. So really, let's go vote on this budget, everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn the April 10th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Education?
So moved.
Second? Any
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.